Okay, welcome everybody to a conversation with Mr. Larry C. Johnsson, who is always obliging me by taking your time. Thank you for that. So, I
won't tell people about the personal threats you made that if I didn't show up. So,
well,
okay, there were no threats. No threats. Always a kind invitation. So, thank you.
Thank you too. All right. Big news for us here in Europe was pretty much came out of the summit in Berlin that took place during the weekend and a couple of days after. I guess they finished up on Sunday or Monday. And they produced statements after meetings with the heads of state, I guess with Mark Rutte and a few other people. And from Ukraine, Zelensky was there. Most of the talks were held behind closed doors. And to me, this was quite a shock to see what they came up with. They came up with some principles. I don't know if you've heard about what they said from the European side. And according to the Witkoff and what's his name? Kushner, yeah. Oh. They represented the USA, but I haven't heard a comment on this from Donald Trump, the president. Have you?
No, I haven't. And I wasn't, I've heard, the only thing I heard was that Witkoff said that, they had very productive talks and had agreement on about 90%, whatever that means. They're just blowing smoke. Mm-hmm. There's... but I did, I saw Ribkoff, the deputy foreign minister today earlier, saying that, there's hopeful sooner rather than later they can get an agreement. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There is no foundation. The West is not serious about reaching a peaceful negotiation with Russia, respecting Russia's rights and respecting Russia's right to exist. The West is hell-bent on destroying Russia, and they'll trick them. They'll get a fake agreement. The only thing that could possibly signal a genuine U.S. interest in peace is if the Russians negotiated a treaty that was voted upon and endorsed by the U.S. Congress, the Senate. If they said, yeah, we'll sign it, we'll get the political class signs up to it, then okay, then Russia might have an agreement worth the paper it's written on. Mm. Other than that, they might as well just write it on toilet paper and wipe their ass with it, because that's about how valuable it will be.
I agree with you, but it's also some kind of preposterous statements that came out of this summit in Berlin. They say, okay, no NATO for Ukraine, okay? That seems to be everybody in agreement on. But instead, there's going to be a joint military force of up to 800,000 total soldiers or troops operating inside of Ukraine to guarantee the peace. 800,000. Did Ukraine on their own, with the help of NATO, even have close to that during this conflict?
Well, so when the war started, I think Ukraine's total ground force active duty was about 300,000.
Right.
And they had reservists of 900,000. So when the special military operation commenced, Ukraine mobilized the whole 900,000. So they boosted the ground forces up to 1.2 million. What's crazy about this European proposal is the big proponents of it are the UK, France, and Germany.
Yeah.
Those three countries combined have a population of 220 million. Those three countries combined have a ground force army of a little less than 500,000. They're now wanting Ukraine, which has a population of 19 million, to have an army of 800,000, which is an army that's almost twice as large as the combined armies of the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. That's how insane this thing is. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And the other thing, there's some couple of points as well on the financial side. They stated that Europe is going to share the burden of reconstruction of Ukraine, and financing of that, again, frozen Russian assets or reparation loans from Russia to finance this, because Europe combined doesn't have any funds. They're already stretched out.
Yeah, well, we got the other hint. You know, this is all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And Larry Fink showed up at the BlackRock, showed up at discussions with Kushner and Witkoff. That tells you everything you need to know right there. BlackRock has made a bad bet with respect to Ukraine, and they're going to lose their shirt, and so they're in there trying to salvage what they can. Because they'd counted upon, I think they'd actually believed the nonsense that Russia was weak and the West was going to roll over Russia and Ukraine, all those, Ukraine is, I think, after Russia, was considered the 5th largest country in the world in terms of natural resources.
Yeah, it's huge, and they have a lot of unexplored assets and natural resources. Yep, that's true. Another thing that's in this document that came out of this meeting is that parts of Donbass, or they actually said parts of Donetsk People's Republic, must Ukraine let the Russians keep. Parts of?
No, well, again, this is complete nonsense. Russia has incorporated Kherson, in addition to Crimea. Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk are now permanent members of the Russian Federation. They are republics within the Russian Federation. Putin can't give those back. Putin doesn't have either the political authority or the power to return to say, okay, we don't want those anymore, and negotiate them away. And so Ukraine's got one of two options: voluntarily leave that territory, accept the fact that it's Russian, or Russia will kick you out physically by killing you. Those are the two choices. Yeah. Make your choice. And looks like Ukraine's choosing to die. Russia says, okay, that's what you want, we'll accommodate you.
Yeah. Now, another question. How can you expect anybody to trust the current European heads of state? I mean, look at them. Yeah. We did a show here recently where there was like 1,800 plus tractors in London protesting against inheritance tax for farm owners. That's going to ruin the agricultural business in Great Britain, and Keir Starmer is doing this because he knows where the farmers don't vote for him. So he's trying to sabotage their lives. Macron is immensely unpopular in France. There'll be lots of demonstrations and people in the streets say, Frexit, leave the EU now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to say, and that there's a new party there called the Le Patriots, the Patriots. They arranged all these demonstrations quite successfully. And not speaking of Mr. Merz, I mean, he's gone out probably quicker of the three, I would say.
Right. And
the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen and her dimwit Kaja Kallas, nobody believes a word they're saying anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing how really the low intelligence of Kaja Kallas. Yeah. I mean, good Lord. The stereotype in the West of blondes being airheads and bimbos She certainly fits in within that stereotype. The transformation of Europe from, if you will, sort of the birthplace of Western civilization. It was in question in the 15th century as, the Ottoman Empire was battling what was, Europe in its, early days. But it was ultimately a battle between Christianity and Islam, and Christianity prevailed. And yet Europe, with this tradition of Christianity, fragmented. The Church of England broke away from the Catholic Church. You had the rise of Protestant Reformation throughout, Germany in particular.
And Sweden.
Prussia and Sweden. And then all of these Christian, so-called Christian countries spent, a couple of hundred years fighting wars with each other. The French versus the Brits and the Spaniards, and so it gave a pretty bad name to Christianity. And in World War I, where the Christian nation of the United Kingdom fighting in France, fighting the Christian nation of Germany, and the incredible slaughter among Christians. Where instead of believing in the words of Jesus, they believed in their own national identities. That whole era of nationalism is now, it's dying. All of these former great colonial powers are just shadows of themselves. They're fading away, just as sort of the Roman Empire, which once ruled the world, faded away. And we're seeing now the creation of this new world order with Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa in the lead. BRICS is something new, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's like a momentum shift, and the shift is away from Europe and the United States, and it's towards China, India, Russia, and the global South.
Right. Yeah, and all these sanctions from both the United States and Europe hasn't affected Russia that much. And at the same time, these frozen assets that are held by the Belgian bank Euroclear, I read this, I don't know if it's true, but I think so, that Russia filed a lawsuit in last Friday.
Yeah, that's true.
For 210 billion euros. Billion euros.
Yeah.
What happens with that?
Well, if the European leaders, because there's still a split, if the European Union, who's been the big push behind this, they don't even necessarily have the support of France and Germany per se, because those countries recognize that this could imperil Europe's desire to remain a center of global finance, particularly the City of London. And Russia they're going to follow all the law. They're going to follow the law meticulously. And the first step is this action that's they filed in Moscow. But they've also got other options that they will pursue. And if the Europeans do not back down and continue to basically steal the 300 billion, 250 billion in Russian assets, Russia in turn has more, I think close to $1 trillion in European assets still in Russia. And they'll seize them. They'll just say, okay, we're going to compensate ourselves for what you've stolen from us. And again, this is the idea of an international financial system is one where you don't have to go to sleep at night worrying whether or not they're going to steal you blind. It's something you say, hey, these are accepted rules. Everybody's going to abide by them. We're going to, play by we'll follow the same law. Everybody gets treated equally. And now you've got this. where they're saying, if you're Russian, we're going to steal from you. And they can do it to anybody. It's like if they can do it to anybody. And that undermines faith in the system, which leads people to go seek out alternatives, which is, in fact, what has been happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if you have a large amount of money, and they actually steal from one nation, what's stopping them from doing it to everybody else with assets?
Yeah, exactly
true.
right.
But it's not going to happen because 7 European member countries says no. Belgium first, Hungary, Slovakia, Italy, Malta, and some Balkan country, I can't remember the whole list. Because in the case of Hungary and Slovakia, the European Commission has already sanctioned some of the money they have coming back from their European Union membership fees. They froze those too to their own members countries, in this case, Hungary and Slovakia. And that's a political decision because they don't like Fico in Slovakia. They do not like Orban because he wants to be independent. And Poland now doesn't want to sign immigration deals to Poland says, this is our nation. We'll stop this because they've been flooded with Ukrainians that fled over the border to Poland, and that has caused a lot of problems for their nation. So I don't see it happening, but just the thought of it, to steal in other states billions and billions, come on.
Yeah, well, no, it's the EU seems to have like a death wish, a suicide pact. They're taking actions that are going to, undermine and weaken them from within. We saw, I guess it was yesterday, they announced new sanctions. They have sanctioned Colonel Jacques Baud
in Switzerland.
The Swiss military analyst served in the Swiss army, and they're punishing him, banning him from traveling anywhere in Europe, and trying to seize any financial accounts he has in European banks, simply because he has done good objective analysis as a retired military officer. They just don't like what he's saying.
Yeah,
I mean, the EU needs to be dissolved.
Yeah,
it is, and look, I say that as somebody, my consulting firm, Berg Associates. We had the European Union as our client. The law firm that signed him up was based in Florida, but we were the ones that did the work on behalf of the European Union, going after major tobacco companies for money laundering. And we helped the European Union earn $1.5 billion from Philip Morris. They got some other settlements from Japan Tobacco Inc. and British American Tobacco.
Wow.
But the EU is out of control. They need to be dissolved. The countries need to go back to their own way of pursuing their own national interests, because they'll take care of themselves better than this group of sycophants. And they are leeches. They're like parasites that suck the blood out of the rest of Europe just for themselves.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, I read about that situation with Jacques Baud. And also I'm following a great journalist who's Ukrainian, Diana Panchenko. She was voted, before the war broke out for real, the Journalist of the Year in Ukraine, I think in 2020 or 2021. Now they put sanctions on her, and she's not allowed to publish anything in any media anymore. So she uses X, I assume, from a VPN account or something like that. Follow her Diana Panchenko.
Panchenko, huh?
Panchenko,
Okay.
yeah. She writes some really inside good stuff on X because she's there.
Okay.
You know. So
I'll
just
see
a
if I
tip
can-
to the Swedish viewers as well. Diana Panchenko.
Let me just see if I can find her here.
Yeah, they should.
I'll take you up on your recommendation. Let's see. Diana.
The Panchenko.
Diana.
Panch.
Oh, Panchenko.
Yeah,
Oh, there she is. Diana Panchenko.
she's quite a nice looking lady as well.
Okay, there she is.
And she
Journalist
writes
of
in
the
English.
Year. Yeah. So she continues to publish, huh? Yeah. Oh, yes. I see. She just put up something 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
They arrested the Metropolitan Arseny of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
Oh.
A minister, a priest.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is this regime of Zelensky it's a demonic, evil thing.
Hmm.
But it's I think its days are numbered.
I sure hope so. And she asked the question in another tweet, if it was today, yesterday, why are they putting sanctions on me when Zelensky's entourage are stealing millions and millions of these monies that had been flowing in to support the war effort from the West? And it's a valid question. It's
Yeah.
political persecution, nothing else. The same thing with this priest,
Well, whenever you have to go after people like this, that's another sign of weakness.
Yeah.
And it always fails. We saw the efforts of the Soviet Union to crack down on dissidents.
Oh,
It
yeah.
ultimately destroyed the Soviet Union and led to the rise of Russia.
Hmm.
And Russia today is free and diverse in comparison to what the Soviet Union was.
Oh, yeah. It's a completely different situation. I've, seen both of them, both of the sides of the coin before and after the communism fell and the Warsaw Pact was dissolved in 1991. So it was horrible in Eastern Europe under the communist regime.
Right.
It was not good, and I saw it as early as in the 1979-80 while traveling. It was not very pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a completely different story now. I'm going down to Bulgaria now. We'll see what happens there. They actually pushed out their government because they wanted to force them to change their lev, their local currency, to euro.
Mm-hmm.
People got furious, and the riots were so heavy that the government resigned.
Yeah, we've gone from where Hungary was sort of the only dissident voice to now you've got Fico and then the Czech Republic as well.
Yeah.
And now Bulgaria. Austria, I guess, has never been, a part of the EU, I don't think. But, the Austrians are also, going their own way.
Yeah.
So, and now Poland. I mean, Poland is split.
Oh, yeah.
Between got Tusk and Sikorsky on one side and Nawrocki on the other side, and it looks like the majority of the Poles support Nawrocki.
Yep. I asked the Poles that I have, Polish friends I have here in Sweden. Many of them are in the same yacht club as I am. And I asked them about Norwecki, and Tusk, and they all said Tusk is an idiot, the other guy is normal. Everybody, a number of Poles that have lived in Sweden but still have, of course, a lot of contacts with their relatives in Poland. They follow the Polish news, although they live in Sweden. So that was unanimous, my answer to that. Okay, I have a final question for today. I listen to Redacted as often as I can, although it comes on very, very late my time.
Yeah.
And last night, it was former CIA operative Kevin Skip was interviewed.
Stop right there. He's full of shit.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you about.
He is a complete fraud.
All right.
He was not an operations officer. He wasn't an analyst. He was what we called SPOs, the security protective officer. He was a cop. And God, he's done so much embellishing of his career. It's just a complete waste of time. I'm sorry to hear that Clayton had him on.
Yeah.
Because I think Kevin's a fraud. In my,
right. Well, that's interesting because from the program, it's only 13-minute talk, Clayton and this Skip guy. They've spun around of false flag operations, that kind of an issue. And first, I always want to double check the information I get. He was quite convinced that the Australian shooting on the beach in Sydney, on Bondi Beach, was a false flag. And he had a lot of things that he said. I just wrote it down in Swedish. I don't want to translate it.
I mean, a false flag for what?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so that this was...
he was indirectly pointing to a Mossad CIA operation with these two guys had been trained militarily in secrecy in the Philippines. And that was his reasoning. So I guess the conclusion that he had was that it was something orchestrated by Israel.
Interesting theory. These guys, there were two Pakistanis, father and son, is my understanding, correct? Pakistan has a long history of this kind of radical conduct. You remember it was now 12 years ago, they launched that attack in Mumbai, in India.
Right.
The terrorists that carried out that operation came out of Pakistan. The Paks have always, this branch of radical Islam connected to the Wahhabis is called Deobandi, and that originated in Pakistan. So it's not unusual for them to do this. What I did find fascinating was how quickly Netanyahu jumped on this to blame it on this was payback for Australia recognizing the Palestinian state. I could understand from that standpoint. Would Israel possibly help inspire a terrorist attack like that? Not unheard of.
Yeah.
We do have clear evidence that Israel provided funding to Hamas to put Hamas in opposition to the Palestinian Authority to sabotage any chance of a real state emerging. So if that's Kevin's point, I can't necessarily rule that out. That goes in the category of a broken clock can be right twice a day.
Yeah, he'll show the right time twice a day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much. That opened my eyes a little bit. I have to be more critical, I guess, when I watch the news coming from various channels. I follow, of course, your programs and on Napolitano's show. It's always very rewarding because we don't get that type of information here. So that's the only way to get it. Unfortunately, I understand English. People who don't, they can never have a correct understanding of what's going on in our world.
Right.
And I wish I could speak French as well, but I can't.
Well, developing good language skills. Always it helps keep the brain fresh.
It does. I do understand and speak German, and of course the Scandinavian 3 languages, so a little bit of an advantage to be able.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Larry, and once again, thank you so much for taking your time and your very, very smart insights on these issues. So I'll see you in a future program, I hope.
Yeah. Hey, Håkan, stay warm, man, and keep recovering from that cold.
Yeah. Oh, it's good now.
All right, my friend.
Bye-bye.